Saffron City, the most bustling city in the entire Kanto region and arguably the entirety of Pokemon. What if I told you this singular city is worth more than America? No shot, right? Nah, it is. And I'm going to tell you exactly how. Be sure to check out my water system series so far, which I have 2 of. Also, before we jump right in, I'm not a crazy business mogul or some finance genius, so if I make some dumb mistakes and calculations and whatnot, please forgive me, I'm trying my best. I wasn't sure if I should talk about how much it would take to buy the city or just talking about the GDP in general, because I don't know if you can even buy a city for the most part with all the laws around. So we'll just talk about the GDP to keep things simple. And besides, after a quick Google search, countries' worths are usually calculated using GDP anyway, so it all works out. And I know GDP is calculated by country, but there's no shot I'm calculating the GDP for the entirety of Kanto. With all that out of the way, let's get started. So let's start off with what actually exists in the city. There are obviously multiple homes here, what seems to be 21 houses and 4 residential buildings. There are different amounts of buildings for different gens, but we'll be focusing specifically on Gen 3, which would be Fire Red and Leaf Green. There's also a Pokemon Center and a Pokemart here, like every other town and city in the game. There's also a gym in the city as well. Some buildings unique to Saffron City include the Fighting Dojo, the Magnet Train Station, and of course the one and only Silphco, which you probably would expect. Absolutely carries the GDP of the city. Let's start off small with commerce. How much money is being generated from the Pokemart? Pokemon centers don't appear to charge any money for healing Pokemon, so they're pulling a Canada and providing free healthcare. Before anything else, we need to calculate how many people actually come into the mart and buy things, meaning we would need to calculate the population of Saffron, and also probably all of Kanto, since Saffron appears to be the center of all travels in Kanto. Oh, this is gonna suck. In Saffron, I think it's safe to assume these smaller houses have 2 people living in them, the bigger ones have 4 living in them, and the building size ones have 27 living in them. From the enterable buildings, I was able to count 15 people and 10 from walking around. I'll also count the 4 gate building guards too. Silphco is an office building and people come and go all the time. So I think it's safe to assume that a general number of 50 people are in the building at all times. Adding this up, we approximate 233 people live in Saffron City, but let's just say 230 to keep it simple. Let's say 25% are trainers and or active mart visitors visiting it daily. This would mean an average of 58 people enter the mart daily from Saffron City. Let's also assume that 15 trainers from Celadon, Vermilion, and Cerulean City, as well as 5 from Lavender Town, come pass through Saffron to get to their next destination, and restock on necessities along the way, as well as 15 others from the rest of Kanto. This adds up to 123 active trainers in the mart every single day, but let's just round it to 120 to keep things simple. But what are they buying? Let's say they all buy an average totaling up to 3,000 Pokédollars. Some could buy more Great Balls, for instance, and some could buy more escape ropes. But I believe 3,000 is a good average for everyone who comes here daily. Multiplying 120 by 3,000 gets us to a total of 360,000 Pokédollars generated every single day from the Saffron Pokemart. This gives us 131.4 million Pokédollars made every year from the mart. Assuming urban centers like Saffron have only been around in Kanto for 50 years, the total revenue generated from Saffron City's mart would be 6.57 billion Pokemon dollars in its entire lifetime. An absolute monstrous number, but this is in Pokedollars, not in real world dollars. We'll calculate this all in USD at the end. Tourism seems to exist in Saffron because of the Psychic Gym and the Magnet Train, attracting people all around Kanto and even Johto, for those coming from train to Saffron. Although there's no cost to fight the gym leader, there could be a cost to ride the Magnet Train. We're given a free pass to ride the train in Gen 2 whenever we'd like because we did a little side quest to get that privilege. However, others don't have this amazing pass and would need to pay to come from Johto to Kanto and vice versa. Let's take the price of the train from Tokyo to Kyoto as our guideline for how much this ticket could cost. Tokyo to Kyoto costs 120 US dollars, or 12,000 Pokédollars, which we'll guess is the price from Kanto to Johto and vice versa. Across both regions, a total of 20 individuals would cross from the 2 regions daily, totaling 240,000 Pokédollars. Yearly, this would net 87.6 million. Over 50 years, the approximate lifetime of tourism adds up to 4.3 billion Pokédollars, which is the revenue generated from the train. Significant, yet still slightly smaller compared to commerce. Moving on to residential contribution. How much residents of Saffron and other towns and cities contribute to the GDP of the city? As discussed earlier, I believe it can be said that 50 people work in Silphco. In the US, the average office worker salary is $40,000. Converting that to Polka dollars, we get 4 million Polka dollars. Multiplying 4 million with 50, we get 200 million. Counting the 4 gate guards as security guards, which also make an average of $40,000 a year in the US, we get an additional 16 million Polka dollars, adding up to a grand total of 216 million contributed to the GDP of Saffron City from the workers' contribution. If this is made yearly over the span of 50 years, this would get us 10.8 billion Polka dollars generated in the entire lifetime. This is more than twice the tourism contribution, and almost twice as much as the incredible commerce contribution to the GDP. But that is nothing compared to the last GDP contributor I'm about to bring up. Silphco, the largest and most powerful organization in the entirety of Kanto. Their aim is to provide tools essential to Pokemon trainers, which include TMs, Pokeballs, the Silphscope, and the very rare and exclusive Master Ball. Let's focus on each thing they sell one at a time. Pokeballs are highly in demand and are sold everywhere in varying degrees of catchability. The higher the price, the more chances you'll catch a Pokemon. I think it's safe to assume all the other marts around Kanto don't sell as much as Saffron, as Saffron is arguably the most influential in the region. A primary reason people go to Pokemarts is to buy balls, so around 50% of sales should be for balls. Let's say other cities sell 100 million yearly and other towns sell 50 million yearly, or 50 million and 25 million for balls respectively. With 6 cities and 3 towns, we'll count Cinnabar as a town, they sell 375 million Polka dollars worth of Pokeballs every year. Moving on to the Silphscope. Silphscopes appear to be rare in this game. We only ever receive one, and it doesn't seem like Silphco produces them too much and sells them too often. From this observation, we can hypothesize the Silphscope is as rare as a Master Ball, therefore being worth a fortune. Since a Master Ball is more functional than a car, we can suggest that the Master Ball and the Silphscope are worth more than a car. Assuming a Silphscope costs 10 million Polka dollars because of its rarity, and only 10 extremely wealthy people or companies from this and other regions purchase it, they generate $100 million from it. And since the Silphscope is probably as rare as the Master Ball, we can also conclude that 100 million of revenue is generated from the Master Ball yearly as well. Now moving on to TMs. TMs are very useful for teaching your Pokemon a new move, and just like Pokeballs, are in high demand as well. At Celadon, 6 TMs of varying prices are offered. If each of these TMs are bought 5 times a day, that would add up to 97.5k Polka dollars. This would add up to 35.6 million generated yearly from TMs. Adding all these numbers up, we get 610.6 million generated yearly from Silphco, or in its lifetime of 50 years, we get a grand total of 30.5 billion Polka dollars, quintupling the amount made from the Pokemart and nearly octupling the contribution from tourism. As high as the number is, I feel like it's quite low. Judging by how dominant and massive Silphco is, I expected this number to be closer to 100 billion. Perhaps I forgot some lore and story which could raise the value of this company, but let me know in the comments if I missed something and I might pin you. Also, there's one final thing I want to bring up before the grand calculation. I wasn't sure if Saffron City supplied balls and TMs to the rest of the regions too, or if it was just Kanto. I just assumed not, since there was no lore I could find to back it up and that there were exports to other regions. But as always, I could be wrong, so let me know in the comments if I missed anything. That brings us to the end of all the smaller calculations. Now it's time to add everything up. Adding the commerce, tourism, residential, and Silphco contributions to the GDP, we get 52 billion Polka dollars. Whoa, that's a lot. Saffron City's GDP is higher than Sudan's and ranks in the top 100 GDPs on Earth. Oh wait, hold on just a sec. I forgot to convert to USD. The exchange rate from Polka dollars to American dollars is every dollar approximately equals to 100 Polka dollars. So the actual GDP of Saffron City is 520 million US dollars. Hey, that's honestly not too bad. At least Saffron doesn't have the lowest GDP in the world. It's only the 5th lowest. We also have to keep in mind Saffron is just a city and we're comparing it to countries, so okay, never mind. We are still very tiny compared to cities too. Unless we calculate the GDP per capita. GDP per capita varies from country to country since it's the total GDP of a country divided by the total population of the country. The highest GDP per capita on our planet is $142,000. by Luxembourg. Saffron cities, you might ask? Well, dividing our monstrous 520 million US dollars by a tiny population of 120 people, we get an astronomical 4.3 million GDP per capita. USD, not polka dollars. Over 30 times as much as the second highest Luxembourg. And of course, many times more than America. Well, we were absolutely on the bottom with one stat and absolutely on the top with another. Isn't that crazy? I think we call this a win. With all that brings us to the conclusion of this video. There was a lot of math in this one, and like I said at the start, these calculations might not be correct, and forgive me if they aren't. Take this video with a grain of salt, by the way. This is a fun, hypothetical exercise and not a definitive analysis. I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments and what you think the GDP could be. Let me know also if you want to see me turn this into a series as well. Lots of research went into this video, so a like and maybe even a sub would be appreciated. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.